Hey everybody, Drew Lentz, the wireless nerd here, and this is rant number 2. So, a couple days ago, the funding letter came out from the Department of Treasury about the ARPA funding, the Recovery Act funding. This is that $100 billion that's supposed to go into making infrastructure better in communities to help bridge the digital divide and help with online learning and all the good stuff that popped up its ugly head over the last year. But what's unfortunate is the language that came out in it is a little tough, man. And it kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie. The way that it's worded, it says that the money can be used to help funding in areas that are underserved or unserved with reliable access to 25x3 service, 25 down, 3 meg up. And they put an emphasis on fiber, saying that, if you can, then invest in fiber, which, I knew that was going to happen. Not too worried about that. But the thing that sucks to me about it is that, down here in the area that I live in, you talk about some of these communities that are 90%, below the poverty line, 60% below the poverty line, all these numbers, right? And it's areas where there is service already available. The majority of the areas that are down here are covered by 25x3 service. And even if they're not, even if there's no subscribers in that area, the local carriers down here are going to say, and they're going to report that they do have 25x3 service. And so it's fascinating to read the words reliable 25x3 service, because what's deemed reliable, and that's a big question a lot of people are asking. It's like, okay, well, what is a reliable 25x3 service? And, in an area like here, like in South Texas, even if there is 25x3 service that's available and it's reliable service, you still are talking about a community that can't afford the monthly fees. There was this interesting thing done by the group Lupe, the union down here in South Texas, and they did this presentation where they talked about it takes 10 boxes of oranges that they have to pick. 10 boxes of oranges. Think about how many that is. For 10 boxes of oranges, that's what they get paid enough to supply 1 month of internet access. And so you're talking about a community here that's a little bit different than some of the communities in the rest of the United States. And so even at that, if there is reliable 25x3 service, and this funding isn't going to cover these networks that are going to be built out or taken care of in these communities that serve people like those that have to, pick 10 boxes of oranges to pay for their internet service, is that really helping? I mean, yeah, it's great that all this funding's coming out, but if it's tied to only places where there's no service available, then what happens to the places like these rural areas that are served but not affordable? And I think that's my big concern with what's happening. I mean, there's a lot of other language in there that people have taken issue with, and listening to the ILSR and listening to NDIA and all these great organizations that are talking about this. It's fascinating to see what people are saying. My overall concern is that this money isn't going to go into places that it can be used, because a lot of these spots, these downtown areas, these cities, these municipalities, even in rural South Texas, they already have access. They have 25x3 access. And if that doesn't qualify them for the funding, then how are the people in those communities supposed to connect? Do they qualify for EBB because the emergency broadband benefit, or do they not? There's a lot of discussion about people who have green cards or who have visas or who have different citizenship things going on with them. Do they qualify for the EBB? Can they pay for the internet access? And it ends up being this issue where all of this funding that's supposed to be coming down, it has so many strings that are tied to it in so many weird ways that it doesn't look like it's going to do what it was originally supposed to do, which is super, super frustrating. The main thing that I'm thinking about with all of this is, even if you pump $60 million into a community like one down here, right? Let's say you pump $60 million into a community where it's already being served with reliable 25x3 service. What happens to the ongoing support? When you're looking at these municipalities that have 5 or 6 or 3 people that work on their IT department, or maybe 1 or maybe none, and you give them the ability to build out a fiber network or build out this huge wireless network, what's the ongoing expense like that? Or for that, what does that look like? And I think that that's one of the biggest issues, is that if this money can't be used not just to build out the network, but also for the ongoing support and maintenance of it, then how is this solving the problem? I think you might find a lot of communities and municipalities that may take a pass on some of this because it doesn't supply an option for sustainability. And there's just so many things that seem like they're great, talking points, but then at the end of the day, once you start to look at how they're going to come together, I don't think this is hitting the nail on the head. But hopefully that'll change, and maybe we'll see. I am optimistic about it, don't get me wrong, but I'm just seeing all these things that are popping up. So thanks for letting me rant. We'll see you.